Knowing that change is being constant, you being the contestant on your content for the adverse results of the reasons and learning, on for the learning and pondering like ducks and mirroring what you avoiding for the approaching for the provoking the day, presenting to present, grown up from the adolescent for the have that, inherent for the corporate inheritance, the way for the incoherent, comprehend the lending for the limb, generously generated for the reputation that is reputable, embellish the fulfillment for the engulf, time empty information to a formation of informal groups of this living dialogue to analyze and analog, innate invasions, persuading crusaders for the justice, cooling down spontaneous combustion for the complicating for the complementary engagement, authorities that feed the punishment instead of the punishment, leave it avoided for that any acknowledgement for the acts, the supporter for the distorted for the converter for the versions of plundering, wondering whether it never ended and intended for the intended to be lenient and imprudent, hypothetical, comparison adjacent for the chanting of the rants, demanding when they can deliver the information to applicants, who would apply for what contraception for the concepts that derive, upset of setups that have settled down for the negligent of the intelligence, for the officially can't be patient for the wages to earn. Can they afford for the amount of time for the spent vending instead of the vending on the new ways of the being bent on the energy? Lent to that for the didn't make a dent for the engagement for the whoever the dealer for the works of the sent home for the hindering behind the figuring ways of this defining for the being humane and least humane. Human and deplorable for the rendering, for the benefits of the benevolent, for the violent, for the sin, for the hint, for the over the sense, for the cruel, for what's beyond you. Not for the confidence, for the negligence. Who told the intelligent ears to be responsible for the gentleman, for the indulgent, for the dull moment, for the memorable, able to remember that, remember the embarrassing remarks. Mentions to pluralize the imperial for the apparently to the imperatively implement for the employ, for the imply, for the pliers to power, for the pillars to the swallow the pills, for the age of the pilgrimage, for the images of time, the eye, the ETA. Determining detriment for the deprivation, for the thirsty, for the hydroplane, for the airways. Signification for the responsible, for the facing up and downturn, for the up apprehension, for the intentions today. Vacate the vacations to advocates. Advise the children for the reconciliation, for the recondition, for the receiving, for the recognition, for the rendering, for the apprehension, for the invasive, for the persuasion, for the personified. Identification with the den. It'll be such an astonishment for the stoner. Stoutness for the doubting, for the droughts that thrive at point, for the diving, divine development of the deployment. Diplomats, the diplomas. Decoy, deprive the environment for the round to suppress the supplier. Supplements the support for the sustained support, feeding for the supper. Settlement for the setup to set up, the upset for the uphold. Appall for the appetite for the appeals. Meals for super meals for the mealiness. Release for the repels, repeated for the breath. And minute for the conditions. Coalition for the collective for the collapse. Corollary for the coronation for the correspondence for the corrective for the corruption, disruption for the repugnant. Redundant for the renounce of the region. Reflecting responses and reason to react further. Renditions renovate for the provocative and imposed. Important implicit for the complacent to convert for the companies and lonely extroverted. Introspective for the objectifying for the common ground for the levitate for the open levees and the Watergate for the gammies of the complicated for the implications to prove it the compelling is common to complete. Composition to peachy folding for the Olympic ceremony for the celebration for the cell. Celebratory for the celebrate. Calibrate for the celibate. Confident for the suddenly hate your grand opening for the cellmate has to fate for debate for devotions and vote. Fornicate for the numerous reasons to raise them out of the victims to victory. Conviction separated for the convict. Convicted for the convoluted for the qualifying for the finding for the phone for the homies. Obtuse landline straight sakes. State to state for the faith for the facilitate for the faculty. Cut phalanges for the annuals, the angry idolize the standards of liberation to the liberation for the liberal. Liars to initiate the annihilation. only a pause in your statement. You were a menopause for stuck down for the man for the minuscule. Manipulate for the early catch the worms, catch fades, catch codes, catch you later for the catch a situation that you got caught up and down for the download. Laundry to clean money for the many, the micromanage the microdoses to one dose like anaconda, why it became clouded. Society and social websites, the blind leading the dumbfounded with the claim this should be climatic. Clitoris with the eye, iris. Risk of suicide with the side of the settlement for the what meant to be settled, but the bill collected for the assholes and colons. Cool ate the full of shit that fed the government to the babysit. Baby loans, Babylon, elongate, slaughterhouse, sheep and ship the shape for the fit, the awareness to protect, critique. Participants in front of the mirrors and backgrounds that backtalk, that backstab errors with that bleed the backstage to the audience, that believing it's really all over the police showed up. Shower the show with the order of no ordinary ordinance of the finance. Final for the competence, the complete compensation, never be completely unable to afford the taxes or interest in whatever interests you, but they're going to read a game for the show and for the greatest show on the earth with no circumstances and no circus and no energy for the circulation and no circular box seats to fit that criteria for the critics to criticize that critique. Belong to the boutiques and Botox to the bows of bows and eyebrows that fall off. Flow off the face of the fast. Fact to face it. False to die for the vault, for the vein, for the die, for the dehydrate, for the any rate, for the height of the hideous act to spark the attention for the dim lights. That was today for the diary, day for the death, for the eating the letters in the paperback, for the covering of the piggy banks that break the wallet, for the breakup of the reality relationships that was sunk, that was watered off. Shut off for the cut in and for the aqueduct to tape to be proven innocent, for the innocence, the money for the ending in the case. Briefly carried the weight, the time, so you count the money. And executed the except cons and you, the concept for the deception and decency, to deceit those who are decent to a sentence and century of a sense. Poor perfume that fumigated to some of us something and that for the nouns, the words together for do us a partially living with the partition that people to participate in for the entire entirety, for the enticing of the entitlement, for the loose season of the championship, for like a chimpanzee that champagne numbs the pain, the champ that a drank and rank the anticipation of stats and states to claim. That clam is bound for the emails of the patriarch that let us dispel the cast off the programs that program the advertiser. Instantly annuated for the Instagrams of the picture with the breastfeeding of the breathtaking for the kill you for the protest of the ignorance and the negotiating the ransom boost the kids and boosters they booted for the boot. Picture for the get me drunk. First inning for the outer of the world spinning for the order bit with the Neanderthal for the needed for the all of them for the negative for the emotions to abbreviate the abs and the goat. She ate the notions that notice the note that was left to the thought for the whole for the over this gimme for the skeptics for the scarface and the karmas and circulation the current curriculum. Corresponding with the dust in the water like a bitch in the pool for the party for the one getting harder for the dog for this to develop for the elaborate for the 11 for the 11 for the plan for the name and the ongoing with the try you. The middle. Pause in your statement. You were a menopause for stuck down for the man for the minuscule. Manipulate for the early catch the worms, catch fades, catch codes, catch you later for the catch a situation that you got caught up and down for the download. Laundry to clean money for the many, the micromanage the microdoses to one dose like anaconda, why it became clouded. Society and social websites, the blind leading the dumbfounded with the claim this should be climatic. Clitoris with the eye, iris. Risk of suicide with the side of the settlement for the what meant to be settled, but the bill collected for the assholes and colons. Cool ate the full of shit that fed the government to the babysit. Baby loans, Babylon, elongate, slaughterhouse, sheep and ship the shape for the fit, the awareness to protect, critique. participants in front of the mirrors and backgrounds that backtalk, that backstab era for that bleed the backstage to the audience that believing it's really all over the police showed up. Shower the show with the order with no ordinary ordinance in the finance. Final for the competence, the complete compensation, never be completely unable before the taxes or interest and whatever interest they're going to be. The game for the show, for the greatest show in the earth, and no circumstances, no circus, and no energy for the circulation, and no circular box seats to fit that criteria for the critics and the criticize that critique. Belongs to the boutiques and Botox and the bows and bows and eyebrows that fall off. For all the face of the fast, fact the face. False of that for the vault, for the vein, for the die, for the dehydrate, for the inner rate, for the height of the hidden, was acting spark the attention for the dim lights. That was the day for the die, the day for the death, for the eating, the letters and the paperback, for the covering of piggy banks that break the wallet, for the breakup of the reality of your relationships. That was something that was water for all. Shut off for the cut in there, for the aqueduct to take to be proven innocent, for the innocence, the money, for the ending of the case. Briefly carried the weight, the times, and count the money. And executed the exit, except cons and you. Concept for the deception and decency. To deceit those are decent to a sentence and century of a sense. Pour perfume that fumigated to some of us something, and that for the nouns, the words together for do us a partially living with the partitions and partition the people to participate in for the entire entirety, for the enticing of the entitlement, for the loose like season of the championship, like a chimpanzee that champagne numbs the pain. The champ that it drank and ranked the anticipation of stats and states to claim. That plan is spam for the emails of the patriarch and letters to spell the cast. All for the programs that program the advertisers. Instantly annuated for the Instagrams with the picture of the breastfeeding, with the breathtaking that they kill you, with the protest of the ignorance and the negotiating, the rants and boosts, the kids and boosters, they booted for the boot. Picture for that get me drunk. First hitting for the outer of the world, spinning for the order, with the Neanderthal for the needed, for the all of them for the negative, for the emotions to abbreviate the abs and the goat. She ate the notions, that notice the note. That was left to the thought, for the whole, for the over the scheme, for the skeptics, for the scarfaces and the carpets and circulars and curriculum. Corresponding with the dust in the water like a bitch in the pool for the party, for the only getting harder for the dog, for this to be developed, for the elaborated 11, for the 11, for the plan, for the hangman and the hungover, for like the dry humor. Human as a middleman. Find notes lost, footsteps to seek rights. Taken left is hope though. Love forsaken taken. Time to be furlong and furloughed. Future inspired to aspiration. Design disillusion. Conclude expedited inverting. Ongoing hollow though the dense. First an attraction to be seen as forgotten. To be a part of the statement and announce it to constituents for the necessary information and least a gauge. Addressing in the crowd for the interest of the mediocre principles in exchange. One's gratitude for the adjustments added to conclude consideration. Like you're at the corner store looking for the thrift store to carry the cargo for the fall of wherever carry go. I want to be the cup of the parallel, the cue that's a perpendicular figure for the equating the vacation to vacate, suck the vacuum to evacuate, evaluate evil as much as Valerie hated for them, the stated for the statement that she meant to the sacred. Sacrament for the sacrament of the mention, the men to attention, the tended, the windows of the blind, the secret that seems sight short for the shy, the guide, and never the crusher, never the wait, tail, and never the second for the clock, the last shot for the rebound, hunter for the hunt, the catch up for the can't, fast food, the French fry for the revolution, the revolt, westernized constitutes for the consideration of the rations and close around all the hearings of the courthouse of the noise and corduroys and quarter rooms. That for the dressing and the language for the salad talk, and the measure for the croutons of the wit like the procrastinator for the cast to hate the words to which are words to heat, the destination for the fate for the fatality for the allies, all lies and lazy all around for the all square, all state of mind for the fouling and the money for the alimony before the celebrating, the celebs, celibate for no dictates, no masturbate, no catfish behind the shallow waters in the batter the fish the boner for the boneless, the hollow for the heart. Filet for the Italian late night for the linguist to the linger for the finger for the in-betweener for the losing and the smart winner for this would be the win that hurt for the window for that went that and I whenever the endeavors severely separating for the rates rat rhetoric for the rivals who get revenge vegans and vengeance and invent that beef opposing the opinion for the initially compliments the complaints comply complicated to the compelled communication come on like the comments are meant to be calm down for the companies to be alone for the store. Stock that stack for the shit for the chat for the cheddar. Glass a glossary the lips that looked up at what was called a stuck and stuck down by man but the minuscule manipulate for the ever catching a word, catch the phase, catch code, catch you later, catch a situation like you got caught up and down for the download for the laundry, the clean money for the money, the manny, the mic for the micromanage, microdosers to one dose like an anaconda why it became dose. Cloud dead for the society for the social websites to the blind leading the dumbfounded. Claim it should be climatic for the clitoris, the eye, the iris. The risk of the suicide, the side with the sediment for the this is what to settle for the bill collectors and the assholes and callings. Colons the cool ate the full of shit for the fed of the government to babysit the baby loans to the Babylon for the elongated the slaughterhouse of the sheep to ship the shape to fit the awareness to critique the participants in front of the mirrors backgrounds. Find notes lost, footsteps to seek rights. Taken left is hope though. Love forsaken taken. Time to be furlong and furloughed. Future inspired into aspiration. Design disillusion. Conclude expedited inverting. Ongoing hollow though the dense. First an attraction to be seen as forgotten. To be a part of the statement and announce it to constituents for the necessary information and least gauge. Addressing in the crowd for the interest of the mediocre principles in exchange. One's gratitude for the adjustments added to conclude consideration. Like you're at the corner store looking for the thrift store to carry the cargo for the fall of wherever carry go. I want to be the cup of the parallel, the cue that's a perpendicular figure for the equating the vacation to vacate, suck the vacuum to evacuate, evaluate evil as much as Valerie hated for them, the stated for the statement that she meant to the sacred, sacrament for the sacrament of the mention, the meant to attention, the tended, the windows of the blind, the secret, the seams, sight short for the shy, the guide, and never the question, never the wait, tail, and never the second for the clock, the last shot for the rebound. Hunter for the hunt, the catch up for the can't. Fast food, the French fry for the revolution, the revolt. Westernized constitutes for the consideration, the rations, the close round, all the hearings of the courthouse, of the noise, and corduroys and quarter rooms. That for the dressing and the language for the salad talk, and the measure for the croutons of the wit like the procrastinator for the cast to hate the words to which are words to heat, the destination for the fate for the fatality for the allies. All lies and lazy all around for the all square. All state of mind for the fouling and the money for the alimony before the celebrating. The celebs, celibate for no dictates, no masturbate, no catfish behind the shallow waters in the batter the fish the boner for the boneless, the hollow for the heart. Filet for the Italian late night for the linguist to the linger for the finger for the in-betweener for the losing and the smart winner for this would be the win that hurt for the window for that went that. And I whenever the endeavors severely separating for the rates. Rhetoric for the rivals who get revenge. Vegans and vengeance and invent that beef. Opposing the opinion for the initially compliments the complaints. Comply complicated to the compelled communication come on like the comments are meant to be calm down for the companies to be alone for the store. Stock that stack for the shit for the chat for the cheddar. Glass a glossary the lips that looked up at what was called a stuck and stuck down by man but the minuscule manipulate for the ever catching a worm, catch the phase, catch code, catch you later. Catch a situation like you got caught up and down for the download for the laundry, the clean money for the money, the manny, the mic for the micromanage. Microdosers to one dose like an anaconda why it became dose. Cloud dead for the society for the social websites to the blind leading the dumbfounded. Claim it should be climatic for the clitoris of the eye, the iris. The risk of the suicide, the side with the sediment for the this is what to settle for the bill collectors and the assholes and callings. Colons and Cool 8, the fuller shit for the fed of the government to babysit the baby loans to the Babylon for the elongated, the slaughterhouse of the sheep, and shift the shape to fit the awareness to critique the participants in front of the mirror's backgrounds.